Hey everyone, Beardo here. You're watching Minutia Minute, and it's time for a weird Wednesday. One of those fifth Wednesdays. One of those Wednesdays where DC and Marvel go, what are we gonna do? In the past, DC's had some kind of interesting solutions to this. Like, they had ongoing titles that were only slated for those fifth Wednesdays, so they were ongoing, but they only went once in a while, kind of like, you know, having your birthday on February 29th, like one of those kind of a deals. Nowadays, with the DC New 52, they're doing annuals, and I know some people aren't a big fan of the DC annuals right now just because they tend to tie into whatever story is going on at the time. I actually kind of like that because for me, like, I'm not going to spend an extra $4.99. I'm cheap. So unless the annual really has something to do with what I'm already reading, chances are I'm not going to pick it up. However, you know, I definitely get where it's kind of nice to have like one-shots, get something new, something fresh. I'm just too cheap, I'm sorry. It's so, like, base, but what do you do? You do have to at least give them a little bit of credit, though, because, you know, choosing which fifth Wednesdays to put out, which annuals, and like which titles really warrant like that extra book that week has been really well thought out, really smartly done. Very rarely as smartly done as this week, however. I've got two books to review for you guys, and both of them are DC, both of them are annuals, and both of them rocked my world this week. We have Green Lantern #1, and we have Flash #1. Both annuals, obviously. Annual #1, I should say. And both of these titles are ones that I've kind of felt like kind of wishy-washy on lately. None of them have really jumped out and said, yes, this book is phenomenal. They've all been just a roller coaster of loose plot lines and lazy storytelling. Finally, though, with these annuals, my patience has paid off. If these were any other books, I probably wouldn't still be getting them, but because it's Green Lantern and Flash, I've stuck with it, and I'm so glad that I have. So, I actually don't know which one of these books is going to get pick of the week this week. Since I've only got the two books, both of them were really good, we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to have a boxing match between the two books. They're going to fight. It's going to be a 5-round match between Green Lantern #1 and Flash #1. They're going to be judged on 5 different criteria, and at the end, we shall see which one comes out victorious. So, in the left corner, weighing in at a whopping some number of pages, is the Flash #1. And on the right corner, you know what, I've got this backwards, don't I? I'm gonna quit doing that. Anyway, it was my right, not your right. Anyway, so yeah, let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's kick it off with first impressions. Let's look at the covers. So, which one is the best cover of the week? I wonder which one it's gonna be. You gotta give a little bit of kudos to Green Lantern, you know, kind of going for that 90s Death of Superman kind of a thing. But I mean, seriously, look at that cover by Francis Manapul. I always love it when they incorporate the logo into the actual artwork. Obviously, the logo is canned, but the versus the rogues part, you know, is just so cool in there. This is the epitome of everything I love about the Flash artwork on the cover. Hands down, Flash wins the first round, gets a point. Alright, so Flash 1, Green Lantern 0. Let's look at the interior artwork. Now, this is a little trickier. Green Lantern, it's very, very important to note, has none other than Ethan Van Sciver on artwork. Now, I'm a big fan of Ethan Van Sciver's Green Lantern. Green Lantern Rebirth is one of those books that, like, it's amazing, it amazes me, genuinely, that it's still so well received, because as awesome as it was at the time, it was a house cleaning. It was a, let's put the skeletons in the closet, let's wipe the dust under the rug. You know, it was a lot of cleaning house, because they had to get ready to bring Hal Jordan back and let Jeff Johns basically go crazy. So nowadays, when people read that, like, you know, they came out with an absolute edition of it, and I'm always kind of a little surprised by that, because it is just cleaning house. And so unless you were sort of invested in the 90s Green Lantern, which not many people are, why would you care that much about Green Lantern Rebirth? And honestly, I gotta say, hands down, it's gotta be because of Ethan Van Sciver's artwork. He illustrated Green Lantern like no one had ever illustrated him before. He brought a wonderful draftsmanship to the book, and I mean, just flipping through it is just, it makes you jaw drop every single time. And so, not surprisingly, Green Lantern definitely is a contender for pick of the week as far as art goes. However, down but not out is The Flash. So The Flash has a whole slew of guest artists this time around. We've got Marcus Toe, Scott Collins, Wes Craig, the like. This book, even though it has a lot of different artists, had a lot of different artists in an editorially sound way. Each of them gets a chapter of the book, which was nice. So every time you got a new chapter, you got a new artist, you kind of knew you were getting into something new. But the chapters flew together, very, very nicely. And each of the artists are similar enough that it's not too jarring. Now, add on top of that, you have Francis Manapul doing the layouts on the entire book. There's a really strong sense of cohesion amongst the 5 different artists that they have in this. Now, on the flip side, Green Lantern does actually have 2 artists. It has Pete Woods, who does a backup story, but it's one of those backup stories where, it's kind of like where Batman, was it number 8 or number 9, where basically it was just the main story continued with a different artist, and then, threw on this is a backup story at the very end, like one of those kind of deals. But nevertheless, even though this would lose from an editorial perspective, Ethan Van Sciver, I mean, I'm sorry, but Green Lantern wins best art, guys, this week. So, ding ding, we've got 1 point to each. Green Lantern and Flash tied at 1-1. Next up, let's see if we can break this tie with the story. Now, we're going to look at the story in terms of plot for a point and characters for a point. Now, so as I said already, both of these books made tremendous improvements this week. It's one of those things where, as I said, they've just been so wishy-washy lately. Flash, in particular, it's introduced so many new plot threads in every single issue. It's like a rope that's, coming apart. And this is the issue in which they pulled out the lighter and burned the end of the rope and got it nice and tight again. All of the little loose ends are all coming to a head in this story. They don't all play out in this particular issue, but they do come to a head, and it's very, very exciting. The last page of this book has one of the more disappointing loose threads in the sense of like, hey, I want to know more about that. Like, we finally get it at the very end of this book, and I'm so excited for issue number 13. So this book was really, really solid. However, this is a story that is definitely very, self-contained. It's within the DCU, and specifically within Flash's part of the DCU. It all takes place in his city. It's all very much, centered around him. And, I mean, how many rogue stories are there, right? Now, Green Lantern, on the other hand, has a story that has finally, after months and months of wandering around, not going anywhere, finally has come to a head, and we've got the Guardians making their move. This book has some first appearances. It has the first appearance of the Third Army. It has the first appearance of the First Lantern, which automatically, is something that's going to give it a little bit of an edge on plot, just because you get some new first appearances, you get some new stuff introduced, but also, the shit hits the fan in this book, guys. I mean, you knew it was coming, and it's here. The Guardians are making their move, and the thing about the Guardians making a move is if something bad happens with the Green Lanterns, that affects the whole DCU, because, in a sense, Green Lanterns are the DCU. They patrol every single inch of it, and if something happens to them, it is definitely going to have repercussions across the entire DCU. So because we got some new concepts, we've got some major, major repercussions. For the plot side, Green Lantern definitely has to get a point. So, Green Lantern is at 2 points. Flash is trailing at just 1 point. But we're not done with story yet. We have to talk a little bit about the characters. And this book, the characters are phenomenal in this. Now, the Flash, as many people have pointed out, Agent 42Q just pointed out last week, anyone can pretty much be the Flash. He's not a really, really interesting character. But the rogues oh, the rogues. Like, there's so much going on with the rogues in this. Every single character has a really nice, unique voice. There's lots of interesting relationships going on. Honestly, the rogues kind of remind me of the Avengers in the sense that, like, you know, they're all stuck working together to meet some higher goal. Like, obviously they're not trying to save the Earth, they're trying to do something terrible, but at the same time it's like they don't really get along, but they're gonna get along for this higher reason. And that really comes out in this story. I really, really dug that. You've got some cool sort of love interest stuff and brother-sister stuff and, you know, betrayals. You get to find out the reason why the rogues have these new powers, or, you know, the same powers but different. Lots and lots of cool stuff with the rogues in this book, and for that reason, Flash is definitely a contender for Pick of the Week in terms of characterization. Now, let's take a look at Green Lantern, though, because you never know, maybe Green Lantern could win it. Well, we do have some interesting stuff with Hal and Sinestro, yada yada yada. That has been going on. The most interesting thing for this, for me, has to be the Guardians, because we're finally getting a little bit more sense of their motivation and kind of why they do things the way they do. So it's like, they explain, like, you know, we created the Manhunters, and they weren't successful because we thought we could save the galaxy by, conquering chaos or whatever, I can't remember, emotion, conquering emotion. But they were so emotionless, they let entire planet get destroyed, so we had to get rid of them. And then we thought, well, maybe the way to save the universe is by conquering fear, and so they created the Green Lanterns. But clearly that, for them at least, is not enough. So now their new thing is, well, we've tried eliminating fear, we've tried eliminating emotion, let's see what happens when we eliminate free will. And that was really, really interesting. Is it enough to be more interesting than the rogues? Hell no. I have so much more invested in the rogues than I do the Guardians. I mean, the Guardians are interesting, but I mean, little blue men really aren't very relatable. So, Green Lantern fought back, but in the end, Flash has to get a point. So we're tied again, 2-2. Time for the tiebreaker. Now, this is a tough one. Did I mention it was really hard? It's really, really hard picking a pick of the week this week. It really is. But we're going to cheat a little bit and expand our scope. Let's talk about, now that we're at basically the 1-year anniversary of the New 52, these are the first true annuals in the sense of, yes, there are actually 12 issues out before these have come out. What has the New 52 done for Green Lantern? What has the New 52 done for the Flash? And both of these books really, really exemplify the directions that they've gone. With Green Lantern, it's really been a continuation of the status quo. Now, it's important to recognize that the status quo is relatively new since Jeff Johns has been on it, but nevertheless, they're basically doing what they were doing before. If anything, the New 52 actually hurt the Green Lantern story, or Green Lantern title a little bit, just because you had to bring on new readers, and we more or less had probably 5 more issues than we needed in this whole storyline before getting to this point. If this had been issue number, what would be on, like 75 or so, this story might be a little bit further along, might be a little bit better progressed than it is. I think probably the New 52 was a detriment to Green Lantern. Now, on the other hand, you've got Flash, and Flash is someone, or is a title, I should say, that I think really, really benefited. You got a new creative team, you've got, and admittedly, Manapul was on the book with Jeff Johns, but Jeff Johns, I mean, he had blown his load on the Flash, guys. Like, he wasn't really going anywhere with Flash anymore. And with that new talent, you got a complete reinvention of the Rogues Gallery, you got a complete reassessment of the way Flash's powers worked, and I feel like every time like they explain something new about his powers, like I get chills. I think it's really, really entertaining to see the twist they bring on someone who's the fastest man alive. Like, what else could they do besides just run fast, you know? And like the fast brain power stuff, and you know, the bullet time kind of stuff, the way the Speed Force works, the time jumps, just everything. It's been a year of really, really cool evolutions to the Flash character and to the Flash powers, and more importantly to the Rogues powers and to the Rogues characters. So for that reason, I think the New 52 really was a benefit to the Flash. It might not have gotten this much of a facelift if basically they had gone with the status quo, which had been basically, well, let's just put Jeff Johns back on the title. So, hands down, very, very easily, Flash would win that round by knockout and take out Green Lantern 3-2 for pick of the week. That's the Flash annual #1. So there's your pick of the week, guys. I hope you enjoyed the way I kind of went about this review. Just wanted to do something different. What do you do? At least I talked in this one. Anyway, before you go, don't touch that dial because I have some very important announcements. Next month, as you all hopefully know, is the Modern History of Batman month. I am still hard at work getting those videos together, cataloging. Every single day I will be putting out a video in which I will review some of the Batman titles, and it'll basically start at issue 404 and we will work all the way up to 713, which in my opinion is the end of the modern age for Batman. As far as I'm concerned, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo and, you know, the new 52 is really, in my mind, it's the digital age now, guys. You know, it's a different time. I feel like the characters are different enough. The status quo is different enough. The approach to doing comics is different enough. Let's call it a new age, guys. It's the digital age. So anyway, I'm going to be reviewing all the issues, 404 through 713 of Batman. We are going to go through the complete modern age, and at the end of the month, we're going to look at the Batman Zero issues and see what they kept, what they changed, what, you know, what's different, what's new, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's going to be next month. For that reason, that's going to be a lot of work for me. So there's actually probably not going to be regular comic book reviews. I might talk about some if the, you know, if I get the impetus to. However, I have to say, Zero Issue Month is something I'm not excited for at all. Like, I just want to get to issue 13 on all of my books. I don't care about the backstory. And you know 90% of these books are going to be, you're going to read the backstory and you're going to go, oh, okay, yep, that's not too surprising. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to add a whole lot. So I'm actually not picking up very many books next month. I'm planning on picking up the Batman Zero issues. I'm planning on picking up Green Lantern. And other than that, I'm probably not going to pick up any of them unless you guys tell me to. So I will be scouring your videos. Please do good reviews of the Zero issues because I don't know what I'm going to get. Other than that, I'm definitely going to pick up Daredevil as usual. I'm definitely going to pick up Danger Club. Saga won't be out, so yeah, it's going to be a really, really light week. So I hope you're excited because it's going to be a very Bat-centric month. The modern age history of Batman from start to finish, starting September 1st. So stay tuned. I hope you're excited, and I'll talk to you very, very soon indeed. So I hope you enjoyed the review, and I will be back next month with the modern age history of Batman.